Hello.
Hi, Crow. How are you?
Good to see you. Sorry
Yeah.
about all the
Oh, it's okay.
problems and whatnot.
Yeah, that happens. It happens. I'm just glad we got a chance to connect today. So thank you for making the time for us.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we're usually we have at least another co-host, but he's at Horror Hound this weekend, so
Got
it's
it.
just going to be a solo thing for me. So,
Oh,
but
cool.
it's not that you weren't important. It's just Horror Hound came up and he was
I
going. I'm
totally
like,
understand.
yeah. Well, I figured you would. You're a big horror fan. I'm looking forward to talking more
Right.
about that.
Yeah, for sure.
As we go. So. But how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. Just got off of
Yeah,
work, so,
yeah. Where do you work?
I work at a restaurant, so
Hmm.
it's bartending stuff and it's not so bad.
Yeah, that's cool.
hmm
Yeah. I I used to be a cook in a restaurant when I was that's how I paid my way through grad school.
Mm.
Was and so I always liked it. I liked the vibe. I liked working in a restaurant. I always thought it was good, you know.
Yeah, it's not so bad. I don't mind. I've been doing it for I've been doing service industry for like a good 10 years now,
Hmm.
so I'm used to it.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, so if you're ready, then I'll just go ahead and do. We have an intro that we do. I keep on saying we. I'm used to having multiple people with me as co-hosts, so that's
hmm
not the royal we. Okay, nothing like that. But yeah, we have this great intro, and then we'll get the ball rolling. How's that?
Sounds good.
Excellent. Okay.
All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Paul.
Together, we're Pathos and Logos, and you're listening to
Heavy metal horror.
I am Montag, master of illusion. What goes up must come down, but not always. Hey kids, that's right. It's Montag flying solo tonight, but we've got a really great special guest tonight, kiddies. Yes, Crow Lotus from Capra is here. Crow, welcome to Heavy Metal Horror.
Thank you.
It is so awesome to have you. I have to say, I really love Errors. I just love that album. It's such a good album.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much.
You know. We'd like to kind of start out with some background questions, but we have a lot of interactivity on the show. We don't just do the same 10 boring questions you've probably heard a lot of in your career. So we have some games, we have some fun things, and I hope you'll have a good time. I think you will.
Sure.
So, well, we'll start with some kind of basic background questions so everyone gets to know you a little bit. When did you first get into music?
I first started playing music around the time I think I was like 15. I started playing bass guitar with my brother's band. And after I think I started doing vocals, I guess about like honestly not that long ago, like 6 or 7 years ago. And I started really properly doing them as a lead vocalist about 5 years ago with Capra, which was like my first lead vocal band that I've ever done. So, but I've always been a lover of music, and I come from a family of music lovers and things like that. So it goes way back.
Nice. So what
Mhm.
what drew you to like the hardcore as a genre? Hardcore metal.
Um, I think it's something that I like about hardcore is well, depending on the sphere that you're in, it's pretty inclusive, it's pretty forward thinking, and I think that it's also pretty there's like a variety of different things that could be considered hardcore. And I've always liked that aspect about it. I like that it's very accepting, and you can meet a lot of really cool people in this particular genre.
Right. It's kind of like the big underground scene. There's huge underground metal scene. It's really exciting, and to be
Yeah,
part of
for
that,
sure.
yeah, no, I like that. And you're from Lafayette. That's where Capra's
hmm
from. So what's the metal scene like in Lafayette?
It's honestly growing, I'd say. For a while we had a little bit of a lull, but a lot of the younger crowd, like early 20s and even some like 18 and 19-year-olds are kind of carrying it right now. It seems like some of the bands that have the most pull are these younger bands, which I think is really exciting. And it's nice to see that younger people still give a shit and still like kind of want to keep this thing alive. So I'd say that it's definitely on and up, in my opinion.
Nice. That's all right. It's good. It's good to know. We're from the Cleveland area, all of us here at Heavy
Hmm.
Metal Horror, and there's a thriving underground metal scene in Cleveland. And I hope you get to play there one day. It'd be really awesome. Because I missed you in Toledo last week. Had some things show up,
Right, right, right.
but yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So,
Sure.
so growing up, or even now, like who's your favorite metal vocalist?
It's honestly pretty hard to say. When I was a teenager, I had like a soft spot for, well, I mean, not, this is not a metal vocalist by any stretch, but
Mm-hmm.
one of my favorite vocalists was Henry Rollins,
Mm-hmm.
just because I always really liked his direct delivery and I always liked his personality and everything like that. Um, I would say that Tom Araya was like a favorite of
Mm.
mine, not to be like super predictable or whatever, but he
Sure.
was a favorite of mine for
Yeah.
years. And I also really like Tony Foresta
Mm.
from Municipal Waste and Iron Reagan and all
Hmm.
that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, not everyone can be, Tom Araya.
Right.
There's a distinctive delivery that he has that is just like, you know, I can certainly get that. No, I like that.
Hmm.
So, as you've been touring and playing, have you been able to meet any like of your musical heroes? Like, would you say like these are your favorite vocalists? But if you have any musical heroes, who have you met, if any of them, and what was that experience like?
I've met a ton of them, and as much as I could totally probably sit here and list them, but I'd say that one of the ones that kind of blew my mind a little bit more recently was, I can't remember exactly when. I think it was September or maybe November. I can't remember exactly, but we played Dia de los Deftones, which was like the big Deftones festival. And it was like the briefest meeting ever, but we kind of got to like say hi and like kind of shoot the shit for like a few seconds with Chino Moreno, which was like one of the most exciting things for me ever because I love or I've loved Deftones for years and years, and it was one of the first bands that I ever liked, kind of. So it was really exciting to actually see him in the flesh and see that he was like a normal guy, and he was really really nice and super humble for like all of the things that he's achieved.
Hmm. That's cool. Those chances to meet, your idols can be really, really chancy. I mean, really iffy if
Hmm.
it doesn't go well, because that could
Right.
really sour you. But has like meeting these people, has that influenced how you respond or react to fans who come up and want to meet you?
um I would say more so from like a performance side of things. There are definitely people that I've watched play, and I have been like, wow, I didn't realize how much it makes a difference to say this particular thing or to make certain facial expressions or to like move a certain way. And I would say that there are many times where I have kind of been floored by performances and been so inspired. Namely, like pretty recently, we went on a shorter tour with Escuela Grind. That's the one we just got off of. And I say shorter because the beginning of the tour was with Escuela Grind. The rest of the tour was just by ourselves. And it's an incredible thing to watch Cat perform because they're such a dynamic person and really professional and delivers a really good show. And I thought that was just like totally eye-opening, I'd say. As far as like meeting people, I really just try to like meeting fans when they come up and talk to me and things like that. I really just try to be myself and just talk to them like I would talk to them if I met them at a bar in any other situation.
Hmm.
And I try to be kind, and sometimes I'm just tired or sometimes I'm not feeling well and I kind of have to do my own thing, but I try to just be polite to people who are polite to me. That's
Sure.
where I'm at on it. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. I think for the most part, you know, most everyone I've met in the metal scene has been really just cool and just like down to earth, and
Hmm.
humble, like you had mentioned.
Right.
And there aren't too many. We've discussed some of our, through our other guests that we've had and people coming up because everyone's a fan of someone else, and
Right.
those,
Absolutely.
sometimes you have those bad interactions that completely just like fucks you up, for the
Yeah.
like how you feel about this band. It's like, so no, I totally get that. But
Hmm.
so honestly, this feels really weird doing this by myself because we've been doing a show for 3 years. And it's always been at least two or three other, two people with
Is
me.
this the
So
first time doing it
yeah,
alone?
first solo,
Uh,
right? Yeah. So
it's okay. No worries.
yeah, it's just I'm I'm missing my rhythm and my cadence with my
Yeah,
co-host, you know,
sorry
because
about
oh no
that.
no no no, you did nothing wrong. No, it just feels weird. It's like it's suddenly the Montag show, and it's
I
just
hear you.
you know.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
I'd like to switch gears a little bit to your creativity and process.
Sure.
Errors, like I said, it's an amazing album. It's angry. You got these riff heavy, like hardcore with plenty of speed and halftime tempo changes. It's if you're a fan of hardcore bands like Ringworm or Violence, Ringworm's a local Cleveland band. Violence is a West Coast band. You're gonna love this album. So what is your creative process like when you're writing songs or lyrics?
Usually well, so it goes one of two ways. Sometimes I have just like a backlog of prose or poetry that I've kind of written in advance, and I'm like, well, I want to put that to music and make that a song. So that's kind of one way of doing it. And then sometimes another way of doing it is they'll kind of do like a phone recording of the instrumentation, and I'll kind of listen to it, just close my eyes and kind of catch a vibe from it, just kind of imagine how it makes me feel, and then kind of take that feeling and just I guess put it into words. So just for example, in the past, from the first album, there will be songs that I've listened to and I'm like, oh, this reminds me of like a feeling that I used to have when me and my mother would get into fights whenever I was a kid. So I wrote a song about that. Just things like kind of in that same vein, like I will associate it with a memory or just even just an emotion and just kind of ramble on from there.
I like that answer because like the next thing I was going to ask you is like, what song of yours do you have the most emotional connection to? Because sometimes
Um,
not every band has those moments where they're writing songs that are emotionally, connecting. They're just, they might be good songs, but it's a song. There's nothing more
right.
personal to it. But it sounds like you've got these memories and you're latching on to things that happened to you. So is there something that stands out like in your albums or your set list so far that you really have a strong connection to when you perform it?
So for like the songs that we're performing now and the ones that are more kind of like relevant to today, I'd say the one that I have the strongest connection to emotionally would be Solana for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wrote that song about someone that I was friends with for a really, really long time that I, at the time that I wrote the song had just ended that friendship with. And it was kind of this big devastating thing in my life and like the lives of the people around me. So yeah, it's definitely, and if you listen to the song or if you're familiar with the song, then you know it's a pretty unforgiving and pretty unrelenting song as far as lyrics anyway.
Well, that's a great kind of catharsis, being able to
Hmm.
to process deep emotions through either lyrics or through writing. You know, that's how we it's like we could become our own best therapists in a lot of
Right.
ways.
Hmm.
So when you sing that, do you still have those emotions? Is that how you kind of dig deep into that, or over time has your kind of view on things changed as you perform it?
Well, so the unfortunate thing about like full disclosure about performing the music is usually a lot of the time I'm doing everything I can to make sure that I have enough oxygen in my body to not pass out. So I'm
It's
kind of
it's it's a pretty dynamic performance. I mean, you're screaming at the
yeah.
top of your lungs, and just it's a very powerful performance. Yeah.
Right. So usually when we're doing the song, sometimes I'll kind of tap into it. But a lot of the time I'm kind of just trying to focus on putting on a good show and connecting with people in the audience, things like that. As far as when we actually recorded the song and when we record videos and things like that for the song, I absolutely do tap into those memories or tap into the lyrical meaning of the song.
Excellent, excellent. Um, I would like to switch gears a little bit to just talking about the tour. You just had this short tour. Just you know, how was the tour for you? I know you've toured before, but this is the most current tour. So how did it go? I mean, if you had to give it an evaluation, what would you say?
I was really, really happy with this tour. I've had some tours in the past that I really enjoyed and they were really fulfilling and I created a lot of great memories. But I think the other band, or sorry, not the other band, the rest of the band was saying the same thing, that this really felt like probably our best one yet. As far as performance wise, we did the best. Um, we really got to see a lot of friends that we've kind of made over the years while touring. And also, I think that we've been touring, I think now for about I want to say maybe like 4 years or so, or touring, yeah, regularly for about 3 or 4 years or so. And I think that we finally gotten to a point where we know exactly what we need to do in order to keep our physical and emotional states healthy for the most part.
Mhm.
So I think it's kind of just gotten a lot more streamlined now. It's a lot easier than when we first started, because we were making bad financial decisions. We didn't know how to take care of our mental health while being on the road and being away from our families and things like that for so long. And also, we just felt terrible because we didn't really know how to care for ourselves while living in a van, basically.
Yeah, one of our he had co-hosted our show with us for a while. His name's Vic Stone. He plays in a band called Vindicator. It's a classic thrash band.
Nice.
And they toured a lot. They played with like everybody, and so he had plenty of road stories about, you buy your crate of ramen, and that's what he lived on for
Yeah.
2 months. It's like being like living on macaroni and cheese or something in college.
Hmm.
But so when you're playing out, do you prefer a smaller venue, like an intimate venue, or a larger arena? Like from a fan's point of view, being really close to a band is fantastic, but what's it like from your point of view?
It kind of depends. I would say for me, I prefer like usually for the most part a more intimate setting just because I feel like you're able to connect with people kind of on a closer in a closer way, just a much more intimate way. You're actually able to connect with individual people. And then there's no barricade, and usually people are right in front of the stage. So
Mhm.
it's not like this awkward kind of thing where it's like, wow, you're all the way over there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we've had some really, namely, whenever we went to Europe last year, we had some really incredible experience, and the Deftones Festival as well. We had some incredible experiences where it's like we go out onto the stage for the first time in front of this like massive ocean of people, and it's just this like incredible feeling of like, wow, I can't believe this many people gave a shit to at least see one song. So I'd say that there are good things about, well, good and bad things about both types of venues, in my
hmm
opinion.
hmm Yeah, that's great. Uh, what is your favorite food to eat when you're on tour?
So my bandmates always make fun of me because I like to eat, well, I'm pescatarian, so that just basically means I only, as far as meat, only eat like fish or seafood.
Okay.
Um, but I also like to eat pretty healthy because I'm not like really trying to eat fast food every day and then sleep in a van. I'm gonna feel awful.
Yeah,
Um,
it'll take about 3 days before you feel like shit, right?
Right. So I kind of just eat like tuna packs every day. I know that sounds
Okay.
kind of gross to people, but I will go to, once in a while, we'll stop at like Walmart or like a CVS or Walgreens or something, and I'll buy a bunch of those like packs, and I'll kind of just like eat like one per meal. And then if we're lucky enough to actually stop at an actual grocery store, I'll grab some like baby carrots or things like that. Just some kind of like healthy things that will actually fill me up and like taste
Mm.
halfway decent, and a ton of water, like a gallon or two a day.
Yeah, because you're working it out, and also
Hmm.
just the taking in the breath, singing. That's also dries you out. That's also, you're going to
Hmm.
dehydrate that way, and then travel dehydrates you. I mean, you're really not
Yeah.
doing. You're sitting, but it just completely throws you out of whack.
Yep.
Unless you
Definitely.
hydrate. Yeah.
Hmm.
How do you take care of your voice when you're on the road? I mean, because you have a singing style that is gritty and angry and full of anger, and hoarse. Like I can imagine, like my throat would be really really hoarse. So, and it's not a traditional like death metal growl. It is a screamy kind of metal, which is
Yeah, it's a
fantastic.
little complicated.
So how do you best take care of your voice when you're on the road?
I think that the main thing for me, and this is something that I actually only started implementing like the past like 2 years, is like warming, like having a serious warm up that I do. And it doesn't even have to be long, but I do a good like 15-20 minute warm up before my set, about like an hour before my set. Every single night, I notice a huge difference if I don't do it, massive difference. And it literally was the difference between me being able to do like two or three good shows in a row and then just have like clean yelling vocals like for the rest of the week. Between now, I basically don't ever have to dial back at all at any point. So sometimes we'll have 7 shows in a row, 9 shows in a row, and I'm still able to deliver kind of more or less almost the same performance on the ninth day that I did on the first day. And I attribute a lot of that to the warm up. So I'll do that warm up. rest my voice for like an hour before my set. And then after, I'll kind of just try to take it easy. Like I'll try not to yell or talk too much, which sucks because sometimes I'm watching like the band that we open for, I really like, so I want to cheer and stuff, but sometimes I just can't do that.
Mm.
And then drinking a ton of water, of course. And then the amount of rest you get makes a huge difference as well. So I have to get like 7 hours of sleep somehow, whether that's in the van, whether that's on the couch in the green room, or whether that's like partially in a hotel room or however. I have to have enough sleep. Otherwise, I'm going to hurt myself.
Yeah, and probably end up getting sick. And that's
Right.
one of the perils of the road anyway. People want to shake your hand or they want to say hi, they want to give you a hug or something,
Right.
and you're just around a lot of people. So we've interviewed a lot of bands on this show, and everyone says you're gonna get sick. It's just inevitable.
It's
You
true.
live on the road long enough, you're just gonna be sick, and you just kind of have to
Right.
plow through that. So,
Well, yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm actually
oh
a
no, it's
little
fine.
that's kind of why I'm a little hoarse right now, is because I caught something at the very end of tour.
Uh,
So yeah, I'm kind of healing from that right now.
I've got a Ricola. Would you like some?
Oh,
Okay,
perfect. I'll take
so
it.
okay. Uh,
Yeah.
we love hearing outrageous road stories, and this may not apply necessarily, but what is one of the most outrageous touring stories that you can share?
Oh, I know we have some. We always have weird, random things happen, but that's one of those questions that it's like every time I like can't remember.
Hmm.
Um, oh, I can't think of it right now, but we've had like a million weird things happen. But of course, my mind is just drawing a blank. Maybe we'll come back to it in a
Yeah,
minute,
that's
but
fine. No problem. Yeah,
let me
no
think on
problem.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
no
sorry about
worries.
that.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Um, so, uh, what are some of the quirky requests in your rider, if you have any? Like, do you have any special foods or drinks, clothing, maybe a few dozen white roses like Mariah Carey? Now, this is a good question when we ask, like, you know, Carl Sanders from Nile, when we ask him the same question, like, uh, do you have anything? Because a lot of bands, I mean, playing around that, they really don't have a writer. Or they ask, or the venue asks, what would you like? And say, well, give us
Mm.
some water or pop or whatever. But do you have anything special or the quirkiest thing in your rider?
There's nothing really quirky. I'd say like the only what we usually have on our rider, and I don't really drink as much anymore. Sometimes once in a while, if we're at a festival, I'll do it, but I find usually it just ends up leading to me feeling worse. It's just like we have to have a case of water, of course, but also we used to ask for like a thing of White Claws was like always our drink, or seltzers was always our like drink of choice. And then a veggie tray is usually what we ask for, and Doritos. We always get like nacho cheese Doritos. And
Nice.
yeah, other than that, I think that's like it. Like it's usually pretty like low key. Like we
Hmm.
actually probably need to update it just because yeah.
Yeah, a little more variety in there.
Yeah,
Maybe you can ask for some healthy, like a bag of fresh cut vegetables or something, once in a while.
right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
usually what we
Uh,
do. Yeah, something
nice,
to snack
nice.
on.
Um, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about fame and just being in a band. Just a couple questions here. What's the thing you love most about being in a band?
Um, I think for me, it really is like the traveling and the meeting people. I've met like some of my dearest friends and like most meaningful friendships through music. And maybe even now we don't even talk about music anymore. Like maybe it's become something so much different. Like I have a lot of friends. I play a lot of video games. So I've got friends that I game with now and regularly that I'm like, wait, how did we meet again? Oh yeah, we met at like a concert, or we met
Hmm.
that. I totally forgot about that. And then also I'm seeing a lot of places that I would have never been able to see just like otherwise. And it's not even just like bigger cities like Barcelona or like, LA or New York, things like that. It's not just that, but it's even just like these small towns that I would have never in a million years passed through if it wasn't for the fact that I played a show there. I think that there's something really exciting about being able to see like this country in its entirety like that.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. The small towns, I think, you never know until you get there what it's going to be like. But that's where you find I think, most interesting spots. The out of the way
Yeah.
places, or the best food, or the best this or that. Everyone's really proud of something that they have. Like,
Right.
oh, if you're in town, you got to get this.
Right.
Like Mark Bridie from Jagpanzer. They've been on the show quite a few times, and like his thing is pizza. Like that's his favorite
Mm,
road food. And so every town he goes to, like, he finds out, okay, what's the best pizza here? He asks, what's the best food to have? So everyone has something in the town that they want to brag on,
Right.
which is kind of cool. So what is the thing that you like least about being in a band?
Um, I would say like it's probably when you start having like some tension or maybe you get in a disagreement with one of your bandmates, you can't get away from each other. That's probably the worst part.
It's Could be
Yeah,
hard to
and
put it away for a
everybody,
while, I would think. I mean, until you work it out, it's got to be hard to put that stuff down. And I mean,
right,
you want it. I mean, it's like a 4 or 5 way marriage. You got a lot
right.
of people, and those things can build up unless you find a healthy way of dealing with all that.
Right. Well, and everybody deals with it. Every single band ever, like if they're touring, they deal with some sort of disagreement or some sort of tension or just some sort of just something that makes them uncomfortable with one another at some point in time. And the only thing you can do is pop in some headphones and just read a book or watch a movie or just, do your own thing, really.
Mm, yeah. All right. Well, now we've gone through some of the background and the normal kinds of questions. We're going to switch over to more of the heavy metal horror kinds of questions.
Okay.
I'd like to ask you, these are a couple of hypothetical situations. We'd like to find out things that are just not the normal kinds of interview questions. So,
Got it.
okay, Crow, you're on a desert island. What 5 bands' discographies do you want with you?
Oh, I feel like this changes all the time. Like my answer always changes, and people are going to be like, what the hell? It was like totally different last time. But oh, I would say probably. I think this is an unpopular opinion, probably, but Persistence of Time, Anthrax, of course. Like I know that's never the one that anybody would choose,
Hmm.
but I love that album. Dummy by Portishead. Um, oh gosh, it's always hard. Those are always like my first two.
Persistence of Time is a great album.
I love that album, but
Yeah.
I feel like everybody else prefers like
The
State
older
of
ones,
Euphoria and
right.
all that. Oh,
It can be more than just an album. It could be an entire band. So you could pick a band. So if you want Anthrax or what if you want a whole band. So,
yeah.
if that helps.
I'm so bad at you. Oh, maybe KEAH Ministry. And then I know it's always so hard, but other than that, I just love so many bands. Sometimes
Mm,
it's hard to choose. Maybe,
yeah.
oh, you know what? Definitely. I think that I'm at 3 now. Absolutely Pretty Hate Machine,
Okay.
9 Inch Nails. And then for my last one, I'm like, let me look around in my band
Sure.
now.
No problem.
Sometimes my brain just totally goes blank.
And it's okay if you want to stick with 4, that's cool. It's fine. We don't have to do 5. It's all right.
It's my 4 for now, I think. Yeah.
Okay, that's
That's all I
fine.
can that's all I can wrap my mind around.
No, it's good. It's good. If you could cover an entire album and play it live, which album would that be?
An entire album.
Hmm.
It'd probably be State of Euphoria, actually.
Oh, nice. Okay. All right.
Yeah. But my band would never do it.
No, it's a little
Yeah,
out.
they
It's a
would
little,
never
yeah, it's
ever.
a little out of what you normally would do, but yeah, that'd be cool though.
Yeah. Or
Okay.
Damaged. Damaged would be really cool with Black Flag
Yeah.
album. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. All right, Crow. An alien shows up and asks you to represent metal in 3 songs. What would those songs be and why?
That's such a loaded question. Because there
Well,
are
this is all
so many
these
different.
right. Well, see, this is the kind of thing that
Oh,
our viewers really
yeah.
like because we ask questions that rarely do other shows, ask, but it
Yeah.
also gives us an insight to you as a person, and that's really what we like. We
Yeah.
like the conversational. We want to. I mean, we're interested in you as a musician, but we also like to get to know you as a person, and
For
that's where
sure.
the personal connection comes from. So, you know, yeah,
For me personally,
yeah.
I would say Existence is Punishment by Crowbar. Um oh, I just had another one and I already forgot. Oh, I'd say Antisocial, Anthrax, of course, and then oh, and why? Okay, Crowbar, because it's like niche Southern sludge. Like obviously, like I have to like rep for that because I am from the South.
Right, right.
Anthrax because it's like quintessential like hardcore thrash, and it's one of my favorite bands of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third song, it's always that last one that kills me because I feel like it's the be
Only
all
one
end
left.
all.
Who did I pick? Right? Yes.
Probably like I guess I would say I don't really have much range here, but I guess I would probably say like Angel of Death or something by
Oh,
Slayer, just because it's so classic.
right, right. I mean, yes, yeah, I get that. So,
Yeah.
do you do you have a preference? This is a loaded question, but do you have a preference between Joey Belladonna and John Bush as far as Anthrax goes?
I'm
Or
a
do you
Joey
go
Belladonna
ahead?
girl all
Okay,
the way.
because I see
Yeah.
them as two very different animals. I mean, their whole sound changed. I like both. I've seen them
Yeah.
both ways. I've seen them in both incarnations. I really love um, Stomp 442, The Sound of White
Mm,
Noise. I think those are excellent albums. But uh, I mean, I grew up listening to Anthrax with Joey Belladonna,
yeah.
too. So
Yeah.
I just see them as two different animals, the
For
same
sure.
machine, but like incarnations, and it,
Yeah.
it worked out because I don't think they could have done the thrash, the Joey Belladonna style thrash with John Bush singing. It had to be more that
Right.
kind of groove because that's his voice fits more
Right.
that kind of groove.
Well,
But
nobody was doing it like he was, that's for
yeah,
sure.
but I mean, they're
Hmm.
still so fucking heavy. I mean, Random Acts
Yeah.
of Senseless Violence is just like, fuck, that is just an amazing song.
Right.
That's like get you up and kick you in the ass kind of
And
song.
it was tough without being um like too harsh, I guess. I mean, it was still tough even though he was basically doing kind of like spoken word almost in a way.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Right, right. Okay, just one more hypothetical situation here for you. If you could be any superhero for 24 hours, who would you be, and what would you do with your day of power?
Hmm. My favorite superhero, I know that this is like maybe a little basic, but my favorite superhero was always Spider-Man. I don't know why. I think like I would always have dreams as a kid about just like flying through the air. I think there's just something so like for some reason exciting to me about that concept. But I think I'd probably be Spider-Man, but I don't know if I would help people.
You might just fly around all day.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
you might if you're just flying around, if you're looking for people to help, how many times are you in a situation where you actually find people that are in
yeah.
need of like a savior in the streets?
Right. You just hope that,
Um,
you just like Mysterio doesn't just show up,
right. I
sometime.
mean, I would
Yeah.
do it. I would do it if the opportunity arose,
Nice, nice. No,
uh,
I love
but
Spider-Man.
I think I would just swing around, just have a good
Yeah.
time.
No, that's good. That's good. He was my favorite
Yeah.
reading, as a
Yeah.
kid. I think because he's like the first like teenage superhero. I mean, there were
Yeah.
sidekicks, but they were different. Cap had
Right.
Bucky and things. But yeah, it was a different kind of feel. And he's still kind of sentimentally, he's still kind of my favorite. Captain America number
Yeah.
two. I'm a Marvel. I mean, I love DC, but I'm still a Marvel kid at heart.
Hmm.
So all right. Now we are heavy metal horror. So I'd like to talk a little bit about horror because you are a fan, which is I'm so
Yeah.
excited to talk with you about a little bit.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
so what are some of your favorite horror movies?
So this is another one of those things that's kind of constantly changing for me. But going back to like my tried and true, like all-time favorites, and for the most part, they are mostly classics, is Halloween is just always going to be one of my favorite movies, just because that was one of the movies that I grew up watching as a kid. It was one of the first scary movies that I ever watched as a kid. And I watched it so many times over and over and over. And it's one of those movies that I kind of know back to front. Um, my Another one of my all-time favorites is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I love everything about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I play the new game. I haven't played it in months, obviously, because I haven't been home, but I have been playing the new game as well, which I don't know if you
Mm-mm.
play games or know anything about,
Nothing,
but
nothing contemporary. No, I was
got
playing
it.
Civilization 3 earlier today.
Right.
That's where I'm at.
That's cool. I like that stuff too.
Yeah,
But they have a new game now where you can play either as a survivor or as a member of the family. And you
saw his family.
basically, right, you basically either have to get out or kill all the survivors, which is,
Oh, that sounds
yeah,
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it is super fun. It's way fun. The only problem is I think because it's such kind of like a niche thing, the servers are kind of dying a little bit. So sometimes it's hard to get into a match with like enough other people. But it's a really fun game. Love Texas Chainsaw. I love Dario Argento. So one of my favorites. I mean, I love Suspiria, of course, but I
Hmm.
think probably my favorite by him, um, or two of my favorites by him are Tenebrae, and
Hmm.
I never know if I'm saying that right. I had an Italian
Yeah.
person tell me it was right enough, so I'm okay with
Tenebrae.
that.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, Tenebrae and Phenomena I like a
Hmm.
lot as well because I
Yeah, that
like
was like
Jennifer Connelly.
right. Yeah, me too. That was an early and Donald Pleasance too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
love
and it
him.
just shows like even though she was such a young girl, she
Hmm.
still you could see the potential in her. She's a
Yeah,
really strong
amazing
actress.
actress.
Performance in
Yep,
that.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Um, no, those are great because I love Suspiria. The
Mhm.
color palette is just so the color becomes his character almost. I mean,
Yeah,
just the
for
way that
sure.
he's using color and I mean, but he's like that in a lot of his films. You get that, there's something about the scene, the mise en scene, the
Right,
everything has a look, and that look is
right, right,
part of
right.
the experience.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
The concept of final girls is something that's pretty common in horror, and
Hmm.
I would like to ask you, who are your three favorite final girls?
So we actually we did an episode on this, and I had a lot of trouble kind of deciding, but I'd say Sally Hardesty, it has to be like obviously one of my favorites. Of course Lori, but as far as like trying to think of somebody like outside of the box, oh, I can't remember her name. I think it was Erin, but the movie You're Next, I really like the character Erin from that movie. I think that she's kind
Oh,
of
I
an
don't think I've seen that. It's on my list,
oh,
but I've not seen it.
oh,
So,
maybe I just spoiled it.
no, no,
I
no,
mean,
it's
I
fine.
guess,
Yeah, it's
but
okay.
that's a really great movie. And what I like about her in that movie is that she is like a survivalist. So she kind of has a leg up on. It's not like the typical final girl that's
Mhm.
like shy, like innocent
Right.
school girl or whatever. Like she really is actively defending herself and actively kind of trying to ward off her captors. And I
That
think
makes
that's
her a
really
really
cool.
dynamic character in that
Yeah,
sense,
for
and
sure.
non-traditional.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm right with you. My three were Laurie Strode,
Mm.
and Stretch from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Because
Mm.
I actually prefer TCM 2, although
Oh,
they're
do
like
you?
it's like a different, it's like Alien and Aliens,
Right, right,
very
right.
different animals.
Right.
Because TCM2 has a lot of that humor mixed in.
Hmm.
And Caroline Williams, I met her. I'm an English instructor, and so I used to teach
Oh,
TCM2 in my English class.
oh wow.
We had a section on horror, and so that was when I told her about that. She actually contacted my class and wrote them a lovely letter on Facebook, which was really kind of cool.
Oh,
So
that's really
yeah,
cool.
she was
Yeah,
awesome.
wow.
Yeah, and then my third one was Ripley from
Oh
Alien.
yeah, of course.
She's
Yeah,
just so
definitely.
badass. And I almost swore I have a Ripley t-shirt. It looks like Barbie, but it says Ripley in the Barbie font, and she's holding a flamethrower.
Oh,
I'm like,
that's cute.
it
Yeah.
is, it's awesome. I'm like, okay, those three,
Hmm.
those are great.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
well, you had mentioned you had just talked about this on your podcast. Now your podcast is called Terror Takeover,
Yep.
and you co-host this. And so it's just a few months old. You started doing this like what, last October or something like that?
Yeah,
September?
yes, October. Yeah. Well, we started recording episodes that June, but we didn't actually end up starting to release them until October. So
Okay, you get
it's
a
a pretty
few.
new thing for us. Yeah.
Yeah, get a few in the bucket, right? I get that.
Right.
Yeah. So for people who haven't heard the podcast yet, and they will go flock to it. Can you tell us a little bit about the show? Like, how did you decide to make it, and what kinds of things do you talk about?
Yeah, so originally it started out with two of my friends, and we kind of just wanted to have a it's funny to say female fronted because usually that has to do with like being in a band, but we wanted kind of like a femme-centric conversation about horror, and not that it's only available to women or only
Hmm.
women will enjoy it, but sometimes it's exciting to hear women talk about things that you
Sure,
enjoy.
of course.
But anyway, so basically every episode we would pick either a different theme or a different director or a different even just like single movie, and we would just kind of dissect it and talk about basically just that movie in general. It started out with two of my friends, like I said, but it ended up now it's just me and one of my other friends. It was kind of a lot with trying to wrangle everybody. So we kind of just
Yes, it's a lot.
right,
Yes.
as I'm sure you know. So we
Yeah,
kind of just
yeah.
make it work now. But
Nice.
Yep, it's
Yeah.
been a blast.
One of the other shows I do is called Unsane Radio. It's kind of like the
Mm.
parent network. We just did our like 270th episode or something like that, you know. But
Oh wow.
it's a time where these are lifelong friends. The same thing with heavy metal horror. It's just a
Yeah.
great excuse to get together and just talk and just hang out, you know,
Yep.
and just spend time with your friends. That's the most
Right.
wonderful thing about that. Um,
Yep.
so what has been your favorite thing about doing this podcast that, you know, after doing it, because you get through the nerves, you get through working, like, how are we going to do this? What are we going to do? And then you kind of get into your rhythm. And what have you found to be like, what is your favorite thing?
So I think it has a lot to do with what you were kind of saying is it gives us an excuse to talk about things that we enjoy. And I am talking about it with my friends. So it's really just like we're having a conversation about something that we already would have anyway, but now
Mhm.
we're able to kind of share that with other people as well. I think probably the main thing for me that's so exciting about the podcast is it gives me an opportunity to actually watch movies that I've kind of been meaning to watch. So I have like a huge list of things that I'm like, oh, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. But whenever I can just say, hey, let's do an episode on, um, I don't know, let's say like Ty West or something next week, then it's like, okay, well, now I have to watch
Sure.
X and Pearl. Otherwise, what am I going to talk about? So, and then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, then you knocked out those two movies that you've kind of been planning on watching anyway. So,
Nice. That's good.
yeah.
So, any good recommendations for our fellow horror fans out there that you can give? Like
Just
something
movies
that
in
you've,
general.
yeah, just anything that you've seen recently. I know there's a lot of really bad horror movies out there. I watched Exorcist the Believer last night.
Yeah.
That is hot fucking garbage, man. It is terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Yeah, I wasn't impressed with the commercials, and I saw it. I'm like, you know, my wife wanted to give it a try. I'm like, okay, because I love The Exorcist. Exorcist
Yeah,
is the
me too.
one movie I still will not watch by myself at night. Like, no, no, no. I gotta watch it in the morning to give it a chance to wear off by the end of the day.
Right, right.
Uh, and growing up Pentecostal, that's
Mhm.
probably had a lot to do with that, thinking that
For
Satan
sure.
was gonna get into my, me, but
Oh yeah,
before I
yeah.
became a healthy apostate. So yeah, but that was just a mess. I couldn't recommend that to anyone. But
Yeah.
what maybe a one or two movies that you've seen recently that you think other people might like? What do you think? Do you have a list here?
I would say as far as like newer movies, because I'm personally so bad about watching newer movies, I would say newer movies, if you haven't seen X or Pearl, highly recommend both of those because the new movie Maxine is coming out July 5th. So that's really exciting. And I really enjoyed both of
Yeah, I hear
those. I
X is
preferred Pearl,
wonderful.
but yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
it's on my list and like
crazy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. And then Pearl is the prequel to that. Really, really good movie as well. That movie was actually pretty mind blowing with how incredible Mia Goth did. And I think that she is one of the best horror actresses right now, in my opinion, along with Anya Taylor-Joy and Jenna Ortega is another one of my favorites.
Yeah, Anya Taylor-Joy is wonderful in The Witch.
Yeah, love
Yeah,
her. Love that
such a
one.
good movie. It's just so
Right.
moody and atmospheric, and it
Oh
takes its
yeah.
time to build.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not in any
Yes.
rush, and it's subtle. The horror is subtle. You know, you might see something in the
Right.
background, and
Right.
I love that about it's not in
Hmm.
your face because that's a cheap scare. You know, but you
Yeah.
show me something in the background or let it build organically, and that is way creepier than anything else.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I'd say another new one to watch. I really enjoyed Infinity Pool. I like Alexander
Mm,
Skarsgård as well. I like all the
yeah,
Skarsgård brothers.
yeah.
That movie was so good. So, so good. Very strange and also directed by David Cronenberg's son, Brandon Cronenberg, which is really cool.
Has
And
he
then
inherited the
also,
body horror from his dad?
oh yeah.
The
Oh yeah.
penchant for body horror? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Absolutely he
Good,
has.
good, good.
And then lastly, I'd say Talk to Me is really good as
Okay.
well. Yeah, and that's another A24 movie, and A24 has
They
been doing great
yeah,
things.
A24 has been on the rise. You know,
Yeah,
there are other companies out there that, are relegated to making like the schlock, and there's nothing wrong with that.
yeah,
There's room for everybody, but
yeah.
growing up and having been a fan of horror my entire life, starting with like the Hammer films and Universal,
Right.
working my way through, it's really hard to find a really effective, good horror films. I've been doing a
Yeah,
lot of watching like foreign horror films, have a lot more
yeah.
interesting things, points of view. There's stuff a lot from Thailand that's really good, and just
Yes.
really creepy kind of supernatural stuff, and Korean horror films are just really wonderful.
Hmm.
There's a whole sensibility to a lot of stuff that's like just like when you watch a giallo or you watch something Lucio Fulci, you know you're going to be getting something gouging an eyeball, you
Yeah.
know. So there's a sensibility that's really appealing. That I like that as a horror fan. Like, okay, I'm going to feel something or be made to feel something, which is
Right,
I
right.
don't normally get in Hollywood. So
Yeah.
it's kind of nice.
Hmm.
All right, Crow. I'm going to ask you, these are one-offs. These could be questions about anything. So it's like
Okay.
a random bag. So, who are some of your favorite writers, or if you'd rather answer, what are some of your favorite books?
Mm, one of my favorite books right now, I'm gonna have to look up, let me Google it because I don't want to
Sure.
say her name wrong, but I'm gonna find her name. But the name of the book is Tender as the Flesh. It's a really good one.
Okay.
It's one of those like more extreme horror, like body horror type
Mm-hmm.
books. But Tender is the Flesh by Augustina Bazterrica or something like that. But she's Argentinian. But anyway, so oh, that just reminds me of an Argentinian film I should have recommended. But
That's fine. Eh?
When Evil Lurks, great movie.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
anyway,
Nice.
Argentinian one. But Tender is the Flesh is basically a book about um what would happen if all livestock were infected with a disease that made them deadly for humans to eat.
Oh,
So
like,
what they start
uh,
doing, I don't know what a good example would be, but they start basically compartmentalizing human beings into humans that are fit for consumption and humans that are human beings. And I think that it's really interesting to see how they try to basically say, well, this person is fit to be eaten because of this, or they've done this in their life, or things like this. And this person is a person because of this. It kind of it covers those like blurred lines really well, and it's super creepy without being kind of just gratuitous. Like it all makes sense and
mhm.
it's all valid and pertains to the plot.
That's cool. You don't often
Mhm.
see those kinds of commentary in horror films. That's more like science fiction. You often see that as used as a vehicle for
Right,
commentary, but sometimes
right.
in a skilled craftsman, you do like with Romero. He talked to, the zombies were like consumer culture, especially in Dawn of the Dead. They're
Right,
wandering on the mall and things like that.
right.
And you get that kind of sense of mindlessness of the
Hmm.
consumerism. So that's good. I enjoy that when they can do that well and not just try to half-assed throw something in your face to make it seem relevant. Like I like that
Right,
when they could make a real point. That's pretty
right.
cool. Um,
Another writer I have to mention, just
sure.
because it would be so wrong of me to not do it, because she's one of my favorites. Octavia Spencer, specifically the book Parable of the Sower, is a really good book. I would say there's some like horrific elements, but for the most part, it's more of a science fiction book.
Hmm.
And that's kind of like another like post-apocalyptic type of book about people just trying to survive and um, throughout a lot of violence and crazy downfall of government, things like that. So
Oh,
highly
nice.
recommend that as well.
All right. Are you
Yep.
familiar with Angela Carter at all? She she wrote a
I don't
lot of
think so.
horror. My favorite book of hers is called The Bloody Chamber, where she basically
Mm.
rewrites fairy tales
Oh,
and
cool.
brings them back to their violent sexual kind of origins, and
Yeah,
really
right.
and some of the stories are really shocking and some are kind of erotic and some are beautiful.
Mm.
But it's all her prose is just it's just sumptuous.
Oh,
um, One of the ones is my favorite, at least as far as the beauty of the prose, is one called The Lady of the House of Love, and it's about a vampire. And
oh.
yeah, it's just gorgeous. So
Mm.
my recommendation for you,
Okay.
Angela
Angela
Carter,
Carter.
The Bloody Chamber, yeah, and other
Got it.
stories. So um what non-music or which non-music celebrity would you most like to have a drink with?
Ooh, I would probably have to say, I know it's maybe, I would probably say Jenna Ortega. I would say it'd have to be one of those three actresses we were talking about earlier because I'm a huge fan of them. But
Mhm.
I don't, I think probably Jenna Ortega would be my person. Yeah.
And she was deliriously fun and Wednesday. I loved that series. And her
Yeah.
roommate was like just the cutest thing in the world.
Super
Like,
cute.
yes, like,
Hmm.
oh, okay. I am in this world. I love the Addams Family. I grew up watching
Yeah.
them. I actually, when I was in grad school, I did my master's in popular culture. I wrote a paper on the Addams Family
Oh.
as TV's healthiest family because Morticia and Gomez had a real passionate love relationship.
True.
Like
Yep.
at the time, probably the only couple on TV who looked like they could actually have made those children that they had,
Right.
and so no, and I really loved the 90s movies, and was excited to see this, and I loved how they kind of went off and kind of reinterpreted some of the characters, and she was
Hmm.
delightful. So I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
the next season whenever they're going to
Yeah.
pick out.
I
Yeah.
definitely liked it more than I thought I would. I expected it to be like pretty juvenile, but it really wasn't that at all. I
Mm-mm.
mean, I thought that it was like anybody could have enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was fun, and to pick to Guzman as Gomez Adams. I mean, he looks just like Charles Adams' drawings. It was just like
Yeah.
a perfect casting choice,
Right.
Yeah. Okay. What are you watching or streaming now? I mean, you just got home, so you probably haven't been doing much of that lately, but Netflix, Prime, Hulu, Disney, what are you watching?
So the most recent movie that I watched was Saint Maud. That movie was it was okay. It was okay. I didn't hate it, but it wasn't like this like wow like mind-blowing thing. I would say the movie that or sorry the thing that the series that I want to desperately get into, and I tried starting in the past but I think it was just inopportune at the moment, is True Detective. I've actually never finished like even the first season, and they just came out with that new season and Jodie Foster's in it, so
Oh,
I kind of really want to see that. Also, they say that the newest season is like supposed to be pretty inspired by like The Thing, which I think is
oh,
really
interesting.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
The Thing is one of my favorite movies. The Thing from Another
yeah.
World, I think, is one of the perfect movies of that era.
Hmm.
That and The Day the Earth Stood Still, maybe the two most perfect horror, and the Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So I think those
Right,
three,
right.
they're like the trifecta of perfect 50s sci-fi horror.
Hmm.
Beautiful stuff. So,
Yep, yep.
the last of the one-offs. Do you have any hidden talents? And if so, tell us about one.
Ooh, I have a few. I will say like probably not like hidden because I always am pretty like outspoken about things. Like I try to make myself seem a lot cooler than I am, maybe, but I'm pretty like as far as video games, I'm decent. I'm not gonna say maybe I'm like the best in the world, but I'm actually pretty damn good and can hold my own. But I can cook pretty good. I love cooking. Me and my husband both love to cook. My husband's from Malaysia, so he brings that to the table, which is amazing because
Hmm.
we get to try a lot of different kind of like cultural things.
Hmm. What's your favorite
Um,
dish to cook?
for me to cook, I love pasta and different kinds of pastas, so I kind of like experimenting with things like
Hmm.
that. Um, I also I like making fish. I like salmon. I like sea bass. There's like a Filipino or a fish that's really popular in Filipino food called milkfish that I like to cook
Mm.
as well. I'm a Filipina, so
Hmm.
yeah, things like that. Usually seafood and pasta, basically.
All right, excellent. So if we come to your house, we're going to get pasta and fish. So
Yep.
there we go.
Yeah.
Okay. This is one of the. We're going to play a couple of games now. With you. I know we don't have a lot of time, but we got 10 or 15 minutes. So we're going to play some games. This one's called Blast Beats. I'm going to ask you a question. It's usually a really short answer or multiple choice.
Okay.
And I just want you to give me the answer as soon as you can, quickly as you can, like a
Okay.
blast beat. Okay.
Oh my God.
Favorite pizza topping?
Oh, anchovies was the first thing that came to mind.
Okay.
I
All
know
right.
I'm
Yeah, I
crazy.
think you're the only one who's ever
Yeah.
said that. That's great. Paperback or
Yeah.
Kindle?
Paperback.
PC or Apple?
PC.
Favorite streaming service?
Shutter.
Favorite cartoon character?
Hmm. Oh, Pikachu. Shin-chan. Shin-chan.
Okay. Favorite ice
Yeah.
cream flavor?
I think strawberry.
Dog or cat?
Yeah.
Cat.
Cat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Justice
feel bad
League.
about it.
Oh, that's fine. Hey, you like what you like. Justice League or the Avengers?
Um, Justice League.
Star Trek or Star Wars?
I love Star Wars, but Star Trek.
Okay. Bigfoot or Loch Ness Monster?
Bigfoot. Yeah, for sure.
Dracula or Frankenstein?
Dracula. Dracula.
How do you like your steak cooked?
I don't eat steak, so
Okay, no problem. That's fine. Favorite sport? Oh, that's right. You're pescatarian. That's right. Favorite sport?
Um, tennis.
Okay. Favorite movie snack?
Uh, Twizzlers.
That's nice. The classic, the strawberry, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. There is no other flavor. No, screw those
Hmm.
red vines.
Yeah.
Favorite subject in school?
Um, I guess math.
Your least favorite subject in school?
Math.
Nice. Favorite board game?
Oh, I have a new one. It's called Final Girl. It's really fun.
Oh, okay. I've
Hmm.
seen I've seen it. I've not played it, but it looks fun.
Hmm.
Spielberg or Tarantino?
Tarantino.
If your favorite Christmas gift that you've ever received?
Ooh, probably my Instapot.
Nice. The best concert you ever attended?
Oh my gosh, Ministry at Tipitina's like years ago. It was just like, I don't know if I'm supposed to describe this or what, but
With Mike Scatia playing guitar? Was it from Rigor
um
Mortis? Was he playing guitar for them? Because
no,
he toured with them a lot in the 90s and early 2000s.
yeah, no. This was I don't remember who was playing guitar with them at the time, but this was kind of when they were had people bouncing around. But I can't remember what his name was, but he was like this guy with like straight hair, Spanish guy. But anyway, it was amazing. It was literally so many. There wasn't that many people there, but everybody was there to party. And there it was literally people were moving like waves. And there was several points where my feet weren't even touching the ground and I couldn't breathe. I thought I was gonna like pass out. So it was
Wow,
amazing.
that could
Incredible
be
show.
amazing or and scary. Um,
Yeah.
okay, and the last blast beat, your favorite line or scene from This Is Spinal Tap?
I haven't even seen that movie, believe it or not.
You've
I
got to
know.
see it. It's
I
like
know.
quintessential like metal rock and roll. Oh,
I
okay.
know.
Yeah, and once you get in, you're gonna if you like that kind of mockumentary style, Christopher Guest has several really wonderful mockumentaries.
Yeah.
That Best in
Everybody tells me to
Show,
watch it.
Waiting for Guffman, I think is
Oh,
my
it's the
favorite.
same person as Best in Show.
Yeah,
I didn't realize
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Okay.
and yeah. Oh, it's so good. So,
Got it. It's
okay.
on my list.
Oh, excellent, excellent. The next game we're playing is called the hot seat. We
Got
call it
it.
the hot seat because it tends to make people squirm because they get a little uncomfortable.
Okay.
And this is what I'm going to do is I'm going to name a band, and I want you to tell me your favorite album by that band.
Okay.
Okay. And what sometimes people don't know certain bands and they kind of feel like guilty, like, oh, I'm a metal person and I should know this
Uh,
band, but hey, it's okay.
I never
That's
feel
what they like.
guilty
I go,
about a thing.
oh, there you go. See, now we're simpatico. There we go.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So here we go. Black Sabbath.
Ooh, mine would, oh, yeah, that's kind of a complicated one. Honestly, I would probably have to say the self-titled. That's just because it was one of my favorites, like when I was a teenager, and I literally we had this car where this was like obviously before like auxiliary cables and things like that. So we just had the CD changer, and it was like the one CD we had in the car, and we listened to it over and over and over,
Hmm.
and it was one of my favorites at the time.
It's a fantastic album. Right. It's
Hmm.
great. Judas
Yep.
Priest.
Um. Oh, I can't remember the name of it.
Do you know any songs from it?
Shit. Yeah. It's Living After Midnight and all that.
Oh, but
That
was it Point of Entry? Is that
I,
the one?
I don't. Hold on, I'm looking it up.
British Steel? Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, it might have been British Steel. Let me see.
I'm gonna get lambasted now. You didn't know every
That's
album by Judas
okay.
Priest. I'm like, yeah, I
Oh, it
don't.
doesn't
Sorry.
matter.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Welcome to the world.
That's right.
English,
Yeah.
British Steel, you're right.
British
Yeah,
Steel.
exactly
Okay.
right.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Queensryche.
I don't really listen to Queensryche much.
Okay.
Nothing
I
against them. I've seen them live. Good show.
they're really good.
Yeah.
Iced Earth.
I don't listen to them either.
Okay, that's fine. Motorhead.
Ooh, I think it's the self-titled album, right? Is it self-titled? Um, no. Hold on, let me look this one up.
They got like 30 albums. It's hard to tell. There might
I
have been like
know.
Motorizer. They had
I do low key. I know this one's like maybe like kind of like a little bit of a one-off, but I like the album with Orgasmatron
it's
because
called
I think it's like,
Orgasmatron. Yeah.
oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Yeah,
one's
that's
like,
great. That was my first Motorhead. I bought that cassette at a yard sale. It was like 50 cents or something. I'm like, oh, I'm getting it just because I knew the band from Ace of Spades. It was all I knew.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I saw Orgasm. I'm like, oh, I gotta get that. That's that,
Yeah.
yeah, it's got great songs. Road Crew. Oh yeah, it's great stuff.
I just
Yeah.
like that it's like a little different. And they kind
Mhm.
of did some, not that I mean, I love all the other stuff as well, but
Yeah.
I like anytime somebody like takes a chance with something, I guess. So
Yeah, no, I like that. Yeah, I once
mm.
told Lemmy I loved him, and he yelled back, "I love you too." So
Oh,
I had that connection with Lemmy. It's
that's
really
special. Love
good.
that. Love
That
that
was
for you.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Dio.
Oh my God, I can never remember the names of these albums, but the one with the beast thing, like, and the chain and the priest.
Oh, it'd be Holy Diver.
God. Yeah, yeah, Oh my God.
Okay.
Yeah, Holy
Yeah, there
Diver.
you
I
go.
never know if it's like the song or the name of the album.
They're
Yeah.
both. They're
Yeah.
both. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We just did a what we call a slug fest.
Mm,
We do where we compare two albums, what track one to track one, track two. We work our way through the album, kind of like a boxing match. And so
mm.
we did Last in Line versus Holy Diver. So
Oh,
yeah,
Last in Line is
yeah,
good too, though.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mine's Holy
uh,
Diver for sure, though.
yeah, Dio's one of my favorite singers. Just
Yeah.
performers, just great. So okay, the Beatles.
Not a Beatles person. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Halloween.
Um, not much of a Halloween person, but they do put on a good show. I saw them live as well.
Yeah, they're fun live.
Yeah.
Okay, Rush.
For me, Rush is the self-titled as well. Love that
Oh,
one.
their first album. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Opeth.
I actually don't listen to Opeth.
Okay, you need to take this
Yeah, I
down.
hear I hear a lot of
Montag says you got to go listen to some Opeth. Yeah,
yeah.
they're just wonderful melodic black metal with progressive metal with elements of classical and jazz, and like you can go on musical journeys. It's
Well,
hard to pin them down.
a lot of people whose opinions I really respect,
Well, certainly
highly
not mine.
think very well, oh no,
You don't know
just
me. All right, right.
saying in
I'm
general,
sorry, I talked over
highly.
you.
No, you're good. They always speak very highly of Opeth, so I'm like, I know I should probably do that. Yeah.
And they if you like the death metal vocals, they all Blackwater Park is where I would start. That's a
Mm,
great classic album. And then they started moving out of the death metal vocals shortly after that, and hybrid. Now like the last 4 or 5 albums have all been clean. And so I would go with Blackwater Park, and then Pale Communion is a newer album that I
mm.
think is just really lovely. And it's more there's more like almost there's like one song that's almost like country, and there's beautiful
Oh,
melodies and
wow.
jazz, and yeah, it's just like I know fans of the earlier stuff, they don't, some have been
Excuse me.
crying about it. It's like, oh, but
Oh, yeah.
it's like, no, no, I like to see a band that tries things and grows and does things differently.
Right.
And
No, I do too.
I
Sure.
may
Yeah.
not like everything they do, but I'm willing to give it a try because I like the
Yeah, for
band,
sure.
So,
For sure.
okay, just a few more here. King Diamond.
Um, I don't know the names of the albums of King Diamond either, but
Give me a song title.
um the fucking it's Evil something. It's literally
Oh, you mean, well, that's Merciful Fate. Evil. There's a song called
oh my
Evil.
bad.
That's
Yeah,
fine. That was
Evil.
his band.
Yeah.
Hey, that'll work.
Merciful
That'll work.
Fate is
Yeah, that'll
way
work.
sick. Yeah, yeah,
It's
period.
all
Sure.
work. Yeah, King Diamond is slated to come on our show some whenever his new album comes out. So
Oh, really?
really
That's
excited to
sick.
interview the King. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be
Um,
amazing.
yeah, that'd be great. Okay, just a few more. Iron Maiden.
Ooh. Oh, that one's a hard one. Because I like a lot of their stuff.
Hmm.
Um, shit, I'm so bad about remembering the names.
Give
Hold
me
on.
okay. Give me a song title. I could probably put it on the album.
No, because I actually need to see which songs are on what out. Oh fuck, it's hard because I like Power Slave because Two
Yeah.
Minutes to Midnight is probably my favorite by them, but
Hmm.
oh, these are so hard.
Yeah, and they're another band that has changed their sound. They've become a little more prog as they've come through, and yeah, but their discography is amazing. I mean,
Mm, I would say it's probably for me, it's probably in between Number of the Beast or Power Slave.
all right, both great
Yeah.
albums. Okay, just two more. Slayer.
Slayer has to be, is the name of the album Raining Blood?
Yeah.
No, yeah, Raining Blood for
Rain
sure.
and
I
Blood.
mean, I
Yeah.
hate to be that person, but
No,
although
hey,
they had some new ones that were like actually way solid. The one that I'm horrible with names, obviously, as I'm sure you could tell, but there's a new one where it's like the hand on the cover, and it's like I think it's called like
Christ Illusion.
Christ
Christ
Illusion is
Illusion. Yeah.
I like Christ Illusion a lot. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
The last one is Kiss.
I don't actually know the names of their albums, but I actually really like Kiss. I like that song. Probably my favorite song by Kiss is actually Strutter. I know that's like
Yeah,
probably
that's off
really
their
weird
first
or
album.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
it's a great
yeah,
song. Yeah.
well, I feel like nobody would ever say that, but that's
No, that's great. That's great.
yeah.
No, that's fine. Um, I've got one more game to play. I know time's running out. I just want to keep just a few more minutes. Thank you
You're
for your
good.
patience.
Yeah, no
Um,
problem.
this is a game called Name That Festival. Capra is playing at a festival with two other artists. I'm going to spin the wheel of mystery to find these other two bands, and then I'd like you to name what the festival is that you're all playing at. All right, so
Okay. I
I'm
have to
going
like make
to,
up a name.
yeah,
Okay.
that's it. So I'm going to share my screen here.
Okay.
Okay, can you see the
Oh
screen?
wow. Yep, I can.
Yes. All right, so I'm going to
Oh
give
my
it a
God.
spin. I know. Ooh, we've got everybody on here.
What a selection.
I know. It could be. Oh, it looks like ELO. Okay, ELO. Look at
That would be
that.
amazing.
That
I
would
would
be
love that.
amazing.
I
Yeah,
would love
Jeff
to
Lynne,
do
come
that.
on. And the second band, Capra, ELO, and it looks like, oh, Spinal Tap.
Oh, I thought I was going to say Guns N' Roses. I was like, hell
Nice.
yeah. Oh,
Nice.
wow.
Okay.
Well, my extensive knowledge about Spinal Tap.
I
Hmm.
saw them on the Break Like the Wind tour. They played
Oh,
Cleveland.
really?
Yeah, which what was a fantastic show. So, okay, so ELO and Spinal Tap and Capra are playing at a festival. Crow, what is the name of that festival?
God. Holy shit. This is a hard one. Like literally, ELO is throwing me off so bad. That's where I'm
Right? I
lost.
know. Yeah, it could have been Dolly Parton. It could have been Johnny Cash. I mean,
Yeah.
Beyonce. Right. That's
Anybody.
I put them all. Everybody I can think of on here, like just the most disparate names. Like we
Yeah.
could have had Beyonce and Slayer at the same venue.
Um, I don't know. I can't think of anything. I honestly am totally at a loss for words. Give
Okay.
me a hint. Give me a suggestion here. Throw me a line.
Well, I think with Spinal Tap. Well, since you don't know much about Spinal Tap, I think because you will when you see it, it'll make a lot more sense. But
Mm,
I think it would have to have something along like this goes to 11, because that's a joke that you'll see in the band
mm,
and in the movie where he has an amplifier and a special amplifier and all the knobs go to 11.
right.
So yeah, it was something like that. But with ELO, yeah, that's a hard one, but it's okay. That's all right.
I'm
So
sorry.
no,
I'm
no,
not
it's
so
fine.
good at this.
It's okay. No, it's good. We just got a few more things to ask and before we let you go.
Sure.
Before I let you go.
Got
Um,
it.
we're all fans of other artists. What is your favorite piece of memorabilia? It could be a poster or a signed shirt or something that connects you to one of your artists that who you really like.
Mm, oh, absolutely 100%. It's not really okay. So I know I'm talking a lot about this Deftones Fest, but I think it was one of the just one of the most incredible experiences. So I can't help but keep giving it flowers. But let me grab it. I can grab it.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to see
Hold
it.
on. Whoa. So we played at the Padres Stadium in where's that at? San Jose or something. But for that festival, and they actually gave us like personalized
Oh, San
jerseys.
Diego.
Yeah. Oh, San Diego,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, it's
With our
fine.
band name on the back,
That's awesome.
which was really, really cool. Yeah. And they like had all our sizes and everything. So I wore this like while we played on stage, and it probably smells bad, but
I bet they
I'm
loved it. I bet
super,
the crowd loved it.
yeah,
No, that's
super
fantastic.
stoked to have that. Yeah. So it's not really from, somebody else, and it's actually my own band stuff, which is maybe embarrassing, but I think it's really cool that I don't know if it was the stadium or Deftones or who actually put that together, but I just thought that that was really nice, and it was something that I'm proud to have.
No, that's fantastic. That's great.
Yeah.
So now it could be a tradition. So like if you come play Cleveland, we'll have to get you a Guardians jersey or something like
Oh,
that,
that'd be so cool.
Yeah. So hear
Yeah.
that, people. We hear that.
Yeah.
Make sure get them jerseys. Get them jerseys. Um,
Right.
so one of the last couple things I want to ask is besides music, what kinds of hobbies or interests do you well, you talked about cooking, but is
Mhm.
there that's as a special talent, but do you have any like hobbies or something that kind of keeps your mind away or when you need to escape from music, something that you do to give yourself a break?
So the vast majority of what I do as far as like hobbies is gaming, but I also
Okay.
really like to sew. I like
Oh,
will I guess just kind of like make things. So I'm not like a super professional seamstress by any stretch, but I do make a lot of different clothes that I wear and stuff, usually whenever I go out. Not usually when I'm performing, just because usually whenever I'm performing, I just want a t-shirt and like some pants or something. I'm like not trying to have more on my body than needs to be.
hmm.
But also I like to make jewelry. Sometimes I'll make stuffed animals, things like that. So I kind of just like to create things, I guess.
Nice. That's cool.
Mhm.
Excellent. And the final question, what are your plans? You just finished the tour, but what are your plans for the rest of 2024? And is there any chance that you might be coming to the Cleveland area?
So we are going to be doing West Coast in a few weeks. So like in mid-April to like the beginning of May. And then we do actually have some more stuff that we have yet to announce, that's supposed to happen in August. So I'm not really sure if we're going to Cleveland. I'm gonna have to like look into that, but it's gonna be really exciting. Um, I'm looking forward to announcing that. I can't really say anything about it yet
No,
just
that's
because it
fine. I
hasn't been,
understand. I
but
completely get it.
yeah, that's gonna be fun. As far as for the rest of the year after that, we're not really sure yet. We kind of have our options open.
Hmm. Okay, well, that's cool. Well, I hope that you can come, or at least if you come back to Toledo, hopefully the situation will be a little better for me that I can come see you, because I've seen videos performance and I've seen your video, YouTube live performances, but I always like to meet the bands we talk to if it's possible, and just to say hey in person and to come support, because I love live music and nothing better nor exciting than coming to a small venue to really enjoy, like I said, that intimacy is wonderful. So.
Right, for sure.
Um, one last thing, Crow, if you don't mind, could you do a bumper for the show? Like this is Crow Lotus of Capra and you're watching heavy metal horror. Would that be okay?
Sure. Just heavy metal horror.
Yep.
Okay. Anytime. Okay.
And whenever you're ready.
This is Crow Lotus from Capra, and you're watching heavy metal horror.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Crow, I want to thank you so much for spending some time with me today, answering all of our goofy questions and
For
playing
sure.
our
Sorry,
games.
my memory is horrible. I'm horrible at stuff like that. So
No, it's okay. I
yeah.
really enjoyed getting to know you and a little bit about you and where can we watch? Are you like, streaming your gaming? Like, where can we? I know we got your podcast. We talked about that, but where, if we want to interested to watch gaming, where can we find you?
So I game on Twitch. I'm Crow Lotus on basically everything. Crow Lotus on Twitch, Crow Lotus on Instagram, and then the podcast stuff is Terror Takeover on Spotify and YouTube. Other than that, I think that's it. Yeah. I have a
All right.
personal YouTube channel too sometimes that I'll post like gaming videos, but I don't do it as much anymore. So
Okay.
yeah.
I'm going to get ready to do our outro. And I realized I didn't do our intro going in. And I'm so off of my game because I'm not used to having a solo
I
show. So I'm going to do like, I'm going to finish by saying this has been Montag. You've been watching Heavy Metal Horror. I'm going to invite you to bring up the horns and say Heavy Metal Horror with me. Okay. So here's my
okay.
little outro. Hey, you can find Heavy Metal Horror podcast on unsaneradio.com. Listen to full episodes or download to your device. You can find us on Facebook, Heavy Metal Horror Podcast. On Instagram, look for Montag Lewis, one word. Our YouTube page, Heavy Metal Horror Podcast. If you're watching, that's where you're at. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And if you know someone who'd like our show, tell them about us. This has been Montag, Master of Illusion. And you've been watching and listening to, all right, Crow, bring up the horns. Heavy Metal horror.
Nice.
Now that feels like normal.
This is Doug Helvering, and you have been listening to Heavy Metal Horror, the best podcast that you've never heard before.